Hey, yo, welcome in, everybody. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. A little late night show. Thought we'd come on here, talk a little bit of hoops. Man, Jimmy Butler. Got to talk a little bit about that situation. Absolutely brutal. What does this mean for the Warriors? Where do they go? What do they do from here? I mean, like, seriously, do the Warriors just tank? Do they need Jonathan Kuminga now? We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about Karl-Anthony Towns, now apparently on his way out of the Big Apple, or at least the Knicks are exploring it. Why? What are they going to do there? Plus, whatever else y'all want to talk about. You guys coming in? Let's talk hoops. What else do you want to throw out there? All right. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, the wait, what? I know. What's happening with Butler? Here. I'll show you. I don't feel bad about showing this one because it's not like his legs pointing the wrong way or something like that. It's uncomfortable as hell, though. Look at this. So Jimmy Butler gets the lob from Pods. You could see Jimmy in the paint. He is the one. I know it's a little bit blurry. He is the one Warrior in the paint right now. That's Jimmy Butler getting ready to go up and catch a lob. God, you hate this. Watch. See, plants on that right leg. I don't know. Can you see it? Immediately goes down. I don't have the sound on, but he was screaming. Awful for Jimmy. Look, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what that is. I don't know. My wife's got a background in athletic training, and she looked at it, and she said maybe like a patellar thing or something. It's hard to tell like exactly what happened. I was like, he kind of went one way, the knee went the other. Look, whatever it is, it's not good. Whatever it is, it's not good. I don't know is it ACL? Is it a patellar issue? Meniscus? I don't know. I couldn't point all these things out on a diagram of a knee if I had to, right? That's not my thing. But whatever that is, it was bad. And if you're watching it, you could hear him. He was yelling. First and foremost, before we get into all like the cap stuff and all of that, man, I feel for Jimmy, especially at this stage of his career. You know, to get this kind of injury, everything that's gone on with the Warriors, they've been trying to, get back into everything. You got to feel for Jimmy Butler right now to suffer an injury like that. Look, they helped him off. Teammates helped him off the floor, but like his tippy toes on that right leg were just barely touching the ground. Like he wanted to put no weight on that whatsoever. 36-year-old Jimmy Butler. So now what happens? Somebody in the chat said clear ACL. You may know better than I do on that. Either way, I would be shocked. Like we saw Jokic when he kind of hyperextended his knee, and there was some fear about that. This is bad. Whatever this is bad. Sports Doctor on Twitter said his first thought was ACL. Yeah, I mean that's all we're gonna have right now is kind of guesses. But there are different doctors on Twitter all over the place, right, that are going to look at this and make their judgment calls on what it could be. We won't know anything official just yet until the Warriors say something about it. By the way, they either are or did just pick up. Did that game end? A win against Miami in that game. Yeah, it's over. It's 135-112. So the Warriors did get the win in that. But what does this mean now? What does this mean for Golden State moving forward? And what does this mean for the trade market? Because frankly, like Golden State was in pursuit of Michael Porter Jr. They wanted to turn Jonathan Kuminga into MPJ. They wanted to turn Kuminga into Trey Murphy. I don't think they'll be able to get Trey Murphy, but MPJ maybe. There was that one weird little rumor that was going around. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a weird little rumor going around from somebody on Reddit, which this time of year, like you don't trust this stuff, it total grain of salt type of thing, but you just kind of file it in the back of your mind that somebody was at a Pistons game and saw Nets scouts there and said, hey, thanks for MPJ to the scouts. And the scouts said, well, we're not here for no reason or something to that effect. I don't know if I buy it though, because MPJ played tonight. I don't know if I totally buy that, but I don't know that the Warriors could actually get in on Trey Murphy. They can try. They could try to get MPJ, but does it even make sense? Right? I don't know what the injury is, but I have to assume Jimmy Butler's probably done. He's probably done for the season. And the Warriors have now won 4 in a row. They're the 8th seed right now in the West, but they've won 4 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're above 500, but they're in the West. So what do? Do you push all the chips in and do everything you possibly can to add another player to play with Steph and Draymond? I think that's probably going to be their inclination. Do you change your mind on Jonathan Kuminga now? Do you call up Jonathan Kuminga and say, hey, yeah, can we let bygones be bygones? We kind of need you now. Do you do that? I'm curious to see how the Warriors handle this thing. This is obviously the season has not gone the way they wanted, but it's not like they've been awful. They're plus 3.4 in point differential. Steph is an all-star starter once again. But does this pull Jonathan Kuminga off the market? Like, seriously, do the Warriors now go to Jonathan Kuminga and say, hat in hand, and say, we got to fix this? Is that the best option for them? Or do they still explore the trade market and now maybe they're willing to kick in an extra asset to turn Jonathan Kuminga into somebody else? As far as Jimmy Butler's contract, he's under contract next year for $56.8 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And we're going to look at that when we look at the Cat deal as well. But that's a lot of money. Oh, to Jimmy Butler next year. The Warriors books, though, very clean after that. That's why everybody who talks to the Warriors right now, when they're talking about draft picks, they're saying, yeah, we want your 2028 pick. Because everybody sees what the Warriors have lined up. They get Steph could be gone, Draymond could be gone, all these guys, Jimmy Butler's gone, 2027, 2028. But so next year, if this is a significant injury to Jimmy Butler, if this is something that bleeds into perhaps next season, if he's not 100% at the start of the season, and knock on wood, I hope he is. Jimmy Butler's a great player. But this could be a devastating blow for the Warriors. I'm really curious to see, do they now go all in, and do they now call up the Nets and say, hey, you wanted 2 firsts? Okay, we're putting both firsts in now in order to try to stay afloat without Jimmy? Is that what they do? Do they owe that to Steph? I'd say yes. I'd say they do. I'm not saying that they're going to do something that's going to catapult them to the top of the West. I think they owe it to Steph to give him another shot. I think they owe it to Steph to at least give him a puncher's chance. And that means going out there and replacing Jimmy. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But I think they owe it to Steph. It would be different if they were lower in the standings. It'd be different. Like the Mavs right now. The Mavs right now, you lost AD. That sucks. That was awful. What happened with AD? Maybe he's back in 6 weeks, whatever it is. Maybe. But at least you get a direction. Ironically, the Mavs have now won 3 in a row. But at least now you know. And if you're the Mavs, you're the 12 seed. Stack up those losses. Stack up those losses. Hope for some lottery luck. And off you go. And we'll talk a bit more about the Mavs when we get into the Knicks. But stack up those losses, and there you go. That's what you're doing. You have a direction now. The Warriors, they've won so many games already. Like, even if they wanted to fire up the tank, even if they said, okay, Steph, this is going to be a gap year now. This is going to be a gap year now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bottom this thing out. Even if you tried, you've won too many games. If the draft stayed chalk right now, they'd have the 20th pick. You're not going to lose enough. You'd have to stop winning games completely, and that's just not going to happen. So you might as well. I think this makes the Warriors more aggressive on the trade market. And I think it makes it more, unless they think that Jonathan Kuminga is the solution, unless they think that Jonathan Kuminga is somehow the Jimmy Butler solution, he's the fill-in. Now it's time. Jonathan Kuminga unleashed. And if you're Jonathan Kuminga, that honestly may not be the worst situation. If you go in and put up numbers and you tell the Warriors, hey, I'll come and I'll be the good soldier right now for the rest of the year. I'll help you get through this. But you're not picking up that player option. I'm going to go ball out. I want a new deal next year. You put that on the line, and next thing you know, Jonathan Kuminga is an every night player. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be great, because that's the real question still with him. Is Jonathan Kuminga good at basketball? We still don't know. I'll tell you what I think this does is for a team like my Lakers, for other teams that might be out there, the Kings, right? looking at Jonathan Kuminga trades, I think it makes it less likely that you get Jonathan Kuminga in just a salary dump. Because now I think it puts that much more pressure on the Kings to turn Jonathan Kuminga into a significant player that can step on the floor and help them right now. And that might mean kicking in draft capital to get that guy. But that probably is not a 11th hour, we're up against it, and now we're going to just deal with moving Jonathan Kuminga for expiring contracts and whatnot, and we'll get him off our books. Now it's you have to turn Jonathan Kuminga into something that helps you win immediately. Or you've got to attempt to make Jonathan Kuminga the thing that helps you win immediately. That's what you got to do. Let me see what you guys are saying. Curious, Trev, do you think he'll be back at all this season? I mean, look, I'm not a doctor. This is just a complete guess. But based on the level of pain, surely, similar thing with AD, right? AD, we saw it. I was watching it live when it happened. AD, the thumb injury. The level of pain he was in told you it was more than just a dislocated thumb or something like that. Told you that it was something significant. The level of pain Jimmy Butler was in, and look, pain, some things hurt real bad. Then they wind up being okay, like when guys get a stinger or something like that. But the level of pain Jimmy Butler was in, his complete inability to put weight on it, medicine's not my thing. I'm not a doctor. But that, to me, does not suggest he's coming back anytime soon. I would guess, if I had to pick a side, that is he's not coming back this season. Did he walk off himself? He did not. He did not. He was carried off by one of them, ironically, Jonathan Kuminga, carried off by teammates. Now, not like picked up and carried, like, carrying the bride across the threshold, like that type of carry. I guess that's kind of a weird picture, carrying Jimmy Butler that way. But he had his arms over the shoulders of a teammate on either side, that type of thing. And he's walking on his left leg, and his right leg, like just his tiptoe was touching the ground every now and then. But he was doing everything he could to not put any weight whatsoever on that knee. So that's how he was getting off the floor. Yeah, his too sizzle with a good way to describe it. His whole leg was just kind of limp, just hanging there. So, yeah, we'll see. The results will be out on Tuesday. Again, I hopefully, whatever it is he'll be okay and all of that. But based on what we saw, it did not look good. Did not look good. Yeah, I did see the part where he's like smiling at the crowd afterwards, but I don't think there was any. I think that was him just being Jimmy. It didn't look good. Brandon, thanks for the super chat. Said Rui, Gabe, Maxey, Dalton Knecht, still Lakers by the end of the trade deadline. I think Rui is the best shot to be out of that group. At this point, man, at this point, like, I know you're not going to get anything for him, but you almost got to move Dalton Knecht just for Dalton Knecht's sake, right? Like, it's not working. It's not working with Dalton Knecht at all. He's not even playable right now. You can't put him on the, you're bringing in a guy on a 10-day contract and Kobe Buffkin and throwing him on the floor because that's better than trying to give another shot to Dalton Knecht. They've given Dalton Knecht chances, and he hasn't been able to prove anything this year. It's unfortunate. But at this point, the only thing you have left to try is to either wait it out this year, see if he breaks out of this at some point, and see if he's a guy where it just takes 2-3 years, and next thing you know, it suddenly bursts into the scene and he's something, or you move him along and you let him go somewhere else. And even if that means you take a low return, maybe a change of scenery is what he needs. I don't know. They already traded him once, and obviously that got rescinded. But I think the Lakers legitimately like Rui. They like Rui Hachimura. Doesn't mean they would not trade him, but I would think of that group, they will be very aggressive, looking to move Gabe and Maxey, those expiring contracts. Dalton Knecht as well. I just don't think Knecht has any value. At least the other guys have value as expiring contracts. Like I've said it before, I think there's legitimately going to be teams that tell the Lakers, we don't want to pay Dalton Knecht the $4 million that are on the books next year, $4.2 million. We don't want to take on that. That's how bad he's been. I think there are teams that would not want to pay him $4.2 million. There are teams that would not want to take up a roster spot. That's how bad he's been. And it's too bad. I hope he breaks out of this and we see the player that he can be. He's had big games. Had big games last season. I hope there's a way to get that player back. But yeah, Maxey and Gabe are at least expiring salaries. And if the Lakers are willing to take back money, those can have some kind of value. But at this point, it would almost be like merciful to Dalton to move him along somewhere, to find a new, like, you get a protected second for him or something like that, and you just try it. Yeah, dude, you don't need to put it in the chat like a bunch of times. I get it. Yes, surround Luka with athletic 6'7" defenders. It's really that simple. Stop over the. Yeah, it's not rocket science, and it's the same types of play. This is what upsets people, and I don't want to go too deep into Laker land here, but that is what upsets people about the LeBron and AD era. Is it's not rocket science. Like, the formula is known. And it has been for years. You know exactly what you need to put around LeBron. And guess what? It's the same type of players that you need to put around Luka in order to win. Defenders with athleticism that can switch and can shoot the three. Now, in today's NBA, some of those defenders may need to be able to attack and close out off the bounce. You probably need a few guys who can be reserve guards and secondary creators and things like that. Of course, you need some bigs that have, particularly for Luka, you need bigs with some bounce. For LeBron, you could maybe work into like a pick and pop big, could potentially work. But with Luka, you want bigs that have a little bounce to them that can go up and catch lobs. But it's the same concept. Same type of player is what you're looking for. And yeah, it's not rocket science. It's not like this was some unknown thing. It's not like you're venturing into unknown territory. Oh my God, how do we navigate this? What is the secret formula? No one knows. No, this is well known. This is well known. It's been known for a long time. And you just did it. You used that formula in 2019, 2020. You won a championship. And then you said, let's go away from this. No, I don't. Let's do it. Let's do a big three. Anyway, that's just going to get me mad. Going back into all that. All right. Let's talk about Cat with the Knicks. This is, I mean, not surprising, but man, Grizz, Magic, and Hornets interested in Karl-Anthony Towns. I would have to assume for the Grizz, it's a Ja Morant deal, sending out Ja. By the way, the word is Ja. So Ja tells Mark Stein yesterday in London, I'm loyal. He has this great game. He's like, I've got a Memphis Grizzlies tattoo on my back. I'm loyal. And then word comes out today, like, yeah, this doesn't change anything. The Grizzlies are still looking to move him. This doesn't change anything. Anyway, the Grizzlies, I'd imagine they would want to try to do something with Ja. But then is that a Jaren Jackson and Cat front court? Plus, you've got, I mean, let's not forget about Zach Edey. That's interesting too, right? That's a massive, and don't forget Brandon Clark, they've dealt with a ton of injuries, but Brandon Clark too. That's a lot of size for Memphis, and who knows, maybe there's some other pieces that they'd be, shuffling through. The Magic, the Magic are about to get super expensive next year. I don't know how they're going to do that. The Hornets I get. The Hornets I would get more if Cat was this. Remember when Cat was coming out of college? And he's going to be this next level defensive player, and it's Ja, it's Jahlil Okafor, not Ja, J-A-H, Jahlil Okafor is good. He's the offensive big in this draft class, and Cat, he's the next level defender. Whoops. Jahlil Okafor is not in the league anymore, and Cat is like an all offense guy, and he's not defense, right? Yeah, tattoo cover up, loading, right? It's like when Billy Walsh tattooed Vinny Chase in Medellin on his back. Medellin. I don't know if you guys watch Entourage, but Cat was known as this defensive piece. If he was to go to the Hornets, I think they really need, like, they're great offense already. They're so explosive, but offensively, maybe, he fits in, but they really need that defensive guy in there. But maybe the Hornets say, hey, we've got a chance. I think the Knicks, if they're going to get involved with the Cat trade, they would use him. They would want to use him to try to get Giannis. And I think that's the kind of thing that can hold up the market too, because Giannis, he could, if he were willing to push for a trade, he could justify and say, hey, I want to be on the team I want to be on this summer so that I can extend off of that contract there. I can get the incumbent team extending me rather than get traded to a team and then try to do an extension. But it doesn't sound like that's where that's going to go. So why would the Knicks then look to potentially move on from Cat? Well, if you've seen what's been going on with the Knicks, and it happened again tonight, they lost to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks, who are now, they got Cooper Flagg back, but the Mavs, who are now without Anthony Davis, and the Knicks not only lost to the Dallas Mavericks now have won 3 in a row. The New York Knicks have lost 4 in a row, and they kind of got their ass kicked tonight by the Mavs. And guess who? It warms my heart. Max Christie. Former Laker Max Christie, 8 for 10 from deep. Have a game, Max. If anyone remembers, the last game he played in New York at MSG was the night of the Luka trade. Anybody remember that? The night of the Luka trade, Max Christie was awesome for the Lakers. The Lakers got a big win over the Knicks that night. And like an hour after the game, Max got traded in the Luka deal. Now Max goes back with the Mavs, and he has another big game in MSG. Cooper Flagg at 18, Najee Marshall 19. He got 15 off the bench from Cisse. Klay Thompson 14. Meanwhile, Cat gave you 22, 18 rebounds. He's producing, but the vibes are all bad in New York right now. The guys afterwards are talking about, they got booed, the Knicks did. The guys afterwards are talking about how it was justified that they got booed. Mike Brown was talking about how he'd be in the stands booing too. Like there's something weird going on with the Knicks. I think it's the curse of the NBA Cup. That's what it is. That's what's hitting the Knicks right now. It's the curse of the NBA Cup. And I'm not just talking about winning the cup. You know how they break this curse? Raise the banner. Raise the banner, Knicks. That's how you break the curse. Raise the banner. That's how you get out of this. But look at all the L's they're taking right now. Look at this. San Antonio, Atlanta, Philly, Detroit. I mean, those are all quality teams. Phoenix, Sacramento, Golden State, Phoenix again, Dallas. They're getting crushed. They're getting crushed in these games. And now they're heading into the trade deadline. Man, could you imagine? Imagine the panic in New York if the Knicks lose on Wednesday to the Brooklyn Nets. Imagine if that happens. So now they're potentially looking at a Cat trade. And the problem with Cat is he doesn't have like that fun max salary. He doesn't have the fun max, the 25% max, the less than 7 years of service max. No, he's got the big max. 53 million, 57 million, 61 million on a player option. And the problem is the teams don't see him. Teams are now, they're really differentiating between the max salary levels, the 25% fun max, the 30% middle max, and the 35% big time max. And they only want to give you that 35% if you're the dude. You're that guy that's going to drag them to the playoffs. And Cat, again, he had 20 some odd points, 18 boards. But I think there's real questions about the vibes in the Knicks locker room right now. I think there's real questions about whether or not you want to build out a roster around the NBA. And this may make a trade market for Cat kind of tough. With even your second, we've talked a lot about how you can't give max level money to your third guy anymore. I don't know that you can give like the 53, 57, 61 million, that level of money to your second guy. I don't know if your second guy can get that level of money anymore. And you look at the Knicks cap sheet, 3.5 million below the first apron for next year, 16.3 million below the second apron. And they still have some things, like they're probably going to try to move Gershon Yabusele, Mitch Robinson. He's out of contract next year. So then you got to figure out what you're going to do with him. If you bring him back, okay, now that adds. Now you're above the first apron just right there. And you're potentially losing Landry Shamet. You're potentially losing Jordan Clarkson. Those guys are UFAs. Like, you've got roster spots still to fill. That's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say they trade Yabusele. 6, 7, 8, let's call it. You got a few guys who are RFAs. Like, there's more money you still have to spend. So clearing Cat right now, especially if the vibes around the team are not good, maybe that makes some sense for the Knicks. And I think you'd probably have to get a big back, or at least feel very confident that Mitchell Robinson could be that guy for you long term. You'd obviously like to flip Cat and get something significant back. I don't think the Knicks would be a landing spot for Ja. From the Hornets, could you get some draft capital maybe? I don't think the Knicks should be in the business of trying to just get draft capital. So now we're talking about a 3-team trade. If I'm the Knicks, I'm trying to get Kalkbrenner if I can. I think he'll be a solid, he's not Cat, obviously, but he'll be a solid big for them. Do you talk about, what about a Miles Bridges deal? Then you have Mikal and Miles Bridges. I don't know that he helps them a ton with what ails them, but I'm just thinking about assets that the Hornets have that they could be. Obviously, if you're the Hornets, Con Knippel, off limits. You want to talk LaMelo Ball? Okay, but that's not what the Knicks are going to do. You're not talking Brandon Miller. Those guys are not on the table for Cat. Memphis isn't touching Cedric Howard for Cat. Nope. That's not going anywhere. Jaren Jackson, if you could do it, you actually save money if you're the Knicks and you turn Cat into Jaren Jackson. Although, in no way is Jaren Jackson ever going to pull down 18 rebounds for you. That won't happen. Jaren Jackson rebounds like Austin Reeves. So the Knicks are in an interesting spot. Like, clearly they need to do something. The vibes are all off. And Cat makes a lot of money for a second guy. That said, I mean, look at the stats. It's not bad. It's not bad. Plus 5.3. They give up 4 points per 100 possessions less with Cat on the floor. Like, these are pretty good advanced metrics. Challenge is going to be trying to find anybody that's willing to take on that contract. Teams are so careful now. So careful. Like, this is almost like the conversation with why Zach LaVine was so hard to trade, why Brandon Ingram was so hard to trade. Because teams don't want to pay that kind of money for like a third guy on their team. I think we're hitting an NBA where it's tough to pay that top tier money for even a second guy. If it's that true max. All right. I've been bouncing around a little bit. Let me get back into our chat questions here. If Warriors are forced to go big fish hunting now, could help the Lakers land Jonathan Kuminga as a third team. Nets don't want Kuminga. Lakers can fill salary with expirings. Yeah, Nala, that's a great point. Absolutely. If expiring salaries are what teams are looking for in that kind of a deal, then the Lakers could help facilitate with those if a team's not interested in Jonathan Kuminga. I've been saying, though, if you're the Lakers and you're trying to take on Kuminga, you're only doing it as like a dart throw. You're not giving up significant stuff to get Kuminga. If you are the Lakers, and I think this should be true for a lot of teams, at this point, if you're getting Jonathan Kuminga, who not only is not playing right now, but has not been very good when he does play, you're just getting him as a flyer, because I would think most teams would not pick up the $24.3 million team option for next year. So you just get him and say, all right, JK, let's see what you've got for half the year. And then we'll figure things out this summer. And that's the way you roll. And if it works out, great, fantastic. Let's figure things out this summer. If it doesn't, you say, well, it didn't work out. Let's part ways. No harm, no foul. And we've got cap space. Trevor doesn't want Kuminga. It's not that I don't want Kuminga. I just know there's a lot of risk involved. Is he, from a Lakers perspective, I'm assuming you're talking about, he doesn't shoot the ball particularly well, doesn't defend particularly well, and I think the Lakers need to be laser focused on finding those two things. Defense and shooting. You've got to find those things. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't check those boxes. I think you need to take all of your assets and put them towards finding those things. So if you're telling me, though, if you're telling me I'm not going to find those things at the trade deadline, okay, and want to roll the dice on Kuminga, yeah, they need athleticism. He's got athleticism. Maybe there is some chemistry there. I'm just limited in terms of how far I would go to actually acquire him. Like if the Warriors call up and say, well, Rui Hachimura and Dalton Connect and a first. And Warriors say that's what we want. No, I'm not giving up significant stuff when I'm getting a guy that I don't know if he actually checks the boxes that the Lakers need checked. That's all. Buy low? Sure. Why not? Your best and most realistic trades for the Lakers by trade season end. If they do turn their 2032 first into multiple firsts, especially if there's one that's very obvious, like you get the Thunder first this year or something, I could see like a Keon Ellis, something like that could make some sense. I still think they'll come back around on Andrew Wiggins at some point. I think that could be realistic. I don't think Herb Jones and Trey Murphy is super realistic. Trey Murphy, definitely not. I think you continue calling on Herb Jones and just see if there's any movement there. But I don't think at the trade deadline, I don't think we wake up on February 6th and say, boom, Lakers got all the pieces they needed. No, I think by the trade deadline of February 5th, what I want to say is at least the Lakers, they took some steps towards building the team that they need. And then we'll see what's what. But I do think going after a wing makes some sense. It's interesting that they were mentioned as a team that's looking for a big out there on the market that can offer some rim protection. That immediately brings up the thought of perhaps Nick Claxton. Could there be another Nets teammate, Day'Ron Sharpe? Not that he's necessarily a great rim protector all the time, but an excellent rebounder. Could you have a conversation about that? I do think it's interesting that they were mentioned as a team to look for a big. I still think DeAndre Ayton, I'm at the point where I don't think he's the long-term guy for them. He's not the long-term guy. But with what he's giving you right now, it can be frustrating night in, night out. But upgrading from DeAndre Ayton to something else, I think given what you have to give up to clearly upgrade off of Ayton, it's the impact on the team would not be as high as if you went and added something you don't have at all. And that's, or very, very little of, and that's a quick, switchy perimeter defender, whether it's at the guard or at the wing. So I think it makes more sense to target the guard and the wing. And if you can't get that and a big falls in your lap, so be it. But while you've got Ayton under contract at $8 million, I think you just take advantage of that for the time being. Can't imagine any team giving up valuable assets for Cat. His contract is horrible. Maybe the Knicks get 2 role players and a protected pick at best. And see, that's where you may be right. You may very well be right in that. But if I'm the Knicks and that's the case, I'm just staying the course. And maybe I would move Cat over the summer. That's me if I'm the Knicks. Because I'm looking at the East right now, and I'm saying, look, I don't know if Jason Tatum's going to come back. The Celtics have been, unfortunately, awesome. Even without Jason Tatum. Maybe the Celtics get Jason Tatum back and they make a real run this year. God, that'd be a nightmare. Maybe that happens. But if I'm the Knicks, I'm not looking at the Eastern Conference and saying, man, we're screwed. We can't beat any of these teams. They're struggling right now, and I know there's not a lot of confidence in New York right now. But I'm not tearing anything down if I'm in the East, especially if I'm near the top. If I'm the Cavs, the only second apron team in the NBA right now, I'm not tearing that down right now. Not now. If it doesn't work this year, then over the summer, yeah. But right now, I'm looking at the East and I'm saying, why can't we win a playoff series? Why can't we be the team? Especially after what the Pacers did last year. We spent all last season saying Celtics, Cavs are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Locked. And neither one of them made it to the East Finals. Neither one got there. So if I'm the Knicks and I'm staring down, unless it's, man, the guys on the team just hate each other. The guys on the team just don't want to be around you. And the chemistry has soured so badly. And I don't think this is the case, but the chemistry has soured so badly that the only way to clear the air is to get guys out of there. Something is wrong with the vibes on that team, but that's too drastic of a drop-off in talent to lose Cat and get a couple of role players and a protected pick unless there is a problem. Something is rotten in the core of the team. And that will be improved by removing Cat from the situation. If that unique scenario is what it is, then you would consider something like this. Otherwise, you're not considering something like this until the summer. If I'm in the East, I want the firepower. Give me the firepower. Let's sit around a campfire, hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and do whatever it takes to get these guys on the same page again. Maybe take a little trip out to Joshua Tree, have a little bonding experience, something like that. Whatever you need to do. Get everybody on the same page. I'm not taking a big step back talent-wise because the East, it's wide open. Detroit's very good. I'm not scared of them. I'm looking at Detroit and I'm saying, why can't we beat them? Oh, really? There's a report Knicks owner James Dolan left his seat before halftime and never came back. I mean, it's speculation to guess on like why? Was he so upset? Was he so disgusted by what he saw? He's seen a lot worse, but I don't know. Cat to Lakers? No, I mean, what are you gonna like? What are you stacking up to trade for him? Unless it's hey, you want to trade LeBron? Right? I mean, otherwise you're not getting there salary wise. Oh, Knicks beat writer had it. I mean, I just can't say I know why. Yep, he got it. That is another Entourage reference. I don't. Maybe after this, I'm gonna. Well, I got to record the Lakers Nation podcast after this, but maybe after that, I'm gonna have to put on a little Entourage or something. It's a good show, man. So much of it they could not have that show today. They would get canceled immediately. That's an interesting idea. DeRozan to the Warriors. You know, DeMar DeRozan's very, very available. Getting there salary-wise isn't that tough either. And DeRozan also has the pump fake of doom, just like Jimmy Butler does. And he's only got $10 million guaranteed for next year. $24.7 million. How can the Warriors get there? $24.7 million. By the way, I should have mentioned it before. Maybe does this? I know Jimmy doesn't play the same position, but does this suddenly get Buddy Hield back into the rotation? Or do you stack up Buddy Hield, who only has $3 million guaranteed? I mean, or is that the Kuminga trade? Now are the Warriors more willing to take back players they didn't really want, like DeRozan, maybe Malik Monk, for Jonathan Kuminga? You know the Kings want Kuminga. They've been the team most strongly linked with him since the summer. Maybe the Warriors change their mind now on whether or not they're willing to take back a salary like, especially when DeRozan's only $10 million. Maybe they're willing to do something like that. Yep. Tom Petty, free falling. The vampires walking down through the valley. Move west down Ventura Boulevard. Great song. Take our fluff, please, said every team ever. It's a long day living in Reseda. Yep. All right, let me go here. Huge fan from Australia. Well, good day. Thank you, Ashley, for coming in. My husband and I listen to your shows and get a laugh when Keith says another shrimp on the bobby. I'm sorry. I probably just offended you with that awful accent. Great stuff. What realistic 3D player can the Lakers get while maybe helping us get legit? I still think Keon Ellis is a very realistic, a very available option. I think it's interesting as well that the Bulls are rumored to be getting like serious about their pricing and moving on from players. And in that line of thinking, I I'm having some conversations about Isaac Okoro, who I'd have some interest in. Only $11 million this season, 11.8 million next season. That's very easy to get there, especially with an expiring contract trade using a Gabe Vincent or a Maxey. Obviously, the Bulls would need something else in addition to that, but matching salaries wise, very easy to get there. So that's another player that I'd be keeping an eye on. Sadiq Bey with the Pels. If you're not able to get interest in Herb Jones, you're not able to get interest in Trey Murphy and get something done there. Of course, Andrew Wiggins is a guy that you're going to be having some conversations about. We'll see ultimately where that goes. Matisse Thybulle, you roll the dice on his health, knowing that it's a short-term risk because his contract expires. If you want to talk with the Blazers, he never seems to be healthy, though. Similar conversation about Rob Williams. But it's not going to be easy because every team is out after these guys, and teams tend to really not lose these guys. It's why it's actually like really hurt the Lakers to lose in the last few years. Well, actually, just in the last year, they lost Dorian Finney-Smith, Max Christie, Jordan Goodwin. Now, you could say, well, DFS they lost, but they turned that cap space into Ayton and LaRavia, and that's a net positive. You're not wrong. You could say, well, they lost Max Christie, but they turned him into Luka. That's a net positive. You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong, right? Well, you lost Jordan Goodwin, but you turned him into Marcus Smart. Not wrong. But the real like baller move for Pelinka, and you cannot complain about the Luka trade, but hey, can we find a way to make the math work with the deal around Dalton Connect instead of Max Christie? Hey, what does it cost to move Maxey, get him off of our roster so that we have the flexibility to keep Jordan Goodwin? That sure looks like it would be a good decision right now, right? Hey, DFS, can we work things out? I don't know if DFS was going to stay, but once he gets healthy, he hasn't been healthy all year, so it's hard to say that that's a mistake. But imagine how different this Lakers team looks if you preserve the ability to get Marcus Smart, preserve the ability to get maybe Ayton and LaRavia. Hell, even if it was just DFS that you let go, and you found a way to hang on to Max Christie and Jordan Goodwin, imagine how different the Lakers look right now. That's how starved for that type of player they are. But finding those guys are very, very difficult. And there's a reason why teams don't let them go. It's a reason why I seriously see Suns fans that say all the time, thank you, Lakers, for letting go of Jordan Goodwin. These guys are hard to find. Shout out Max Christie. Mario said history lesson or Mission Viejo story time. Do I talk about Mission Viejo that much? That's my hometown. I don't know. We'll save the history lessons for post-game shows when the Lakers win. If Trevor mentions Matisse Thybulle one more time, hey, if he's on the floor, he fits the bill, and he shouldn't cost a whole lot to get because he's basically never on the floor. That's all. That's all. Walker Kessler back on the menu? No. I think he doesn't even exist. He's a restricted free agent. Not going after RFAs. If I'm the Knicks, I'd just blow it up. Go in the tank. I'm a Nets fan, so looking forward to. Oh, no. I was going to say, I'm reading this thinking, there's no way he's seriously telling the Knicks to tank when what are they now, the 3 seed in the East? But I get it. The Nets are heavily invested in the demise of the Knicks because they've got all those picks from the Mikal Bridges trade. Got it. I'm a Nets fan, though, looking forward to 2027, 2028, 2029, 2031, bing bong. I got it. I get it. But no, there is no world. There's no world where there's no world where the Knicks should actually blow it up and tank. Could they move some players? Yeah. And look, I think the Knicks are a team that's going to be more motivated to move, to do something. Got to shake something up. because the curse of the NBA Cup banner is hanging over them. Their refusal to hang the banner has cursed their team. They broke tradition. Now, is that real? No, the Lakers also struggled after winning. I think the Bucks did too after winning the tournament. But man, that's a brutal record. Things sliding fast. Do the Pistons need to make a trade? No. No, they don't need to. I think it would be ideal. I think they'd be a great landing spot for Michael Porter Jr. I think they need shooting. I think the Pistons need shooting. The home run moves would be like MPJ, Lauri Markkanen, get somebody like one of those guys. That would be very useful for them. Buddy Hield, maybe a obviously poor man's version of shooting that you could add to the roster. You could have a conversation with Memphis to bring back Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, former Detroit Piston. That's what I'd be targeting if I'm Detroit. I'm trying to get shooting. That's the biggest thing they need. What high school did I go to? Mission Viejo High School, home of the Diablos. Home of the Diablos. MLK Day, can we have an inspirational story? Yeah, I'll come up with something. Pistons go for Keon Ellis. Yeah, I mean, is Keon Ellis the pure shooter that you need, the high volume shooter? Not really, but he'd still fit them defensively. Surprised no one's taking a chance on Malik Beasley. I don't think they know if I really don't think anybody knows if they can actually sign Malik Beasley right now. Like they could try, but with the investigation and stuff, would the NBA actually allow him to play? Otherwise, I think if there was a sense that he could step on the floor right now and play, somebody would sign him. But I don't think he can. That's the problem. What position did I play in basketball? See, I didn't play basketball in high school. I played soccer. That was my sport growing up. I played basketball too, but in California, soccer season and basketball season are the same time of year. So I had to pick one of them. So I played soccer, and I was a goalkeeper. But then I played a ton of basketball. As soon as I got out of high school, I just really dove into basketball a lot. I was playing just 5 days a week plus, constantly playing wherever I could find. Trevor's a hardcore wrestling fan. His favorite wrestler is Chris Masters. No, but Chris and I actually have the same favorite wrestlers, and that's Shawn Michaels, which he actually got to work a program with Shawn Michaels, a feud with him, and The Undertaker. Those are my two favorites. Same school as Klay Thompson? No, Klay Thompson didn't go to MVHS. Where did he go to high school? Did he go to Santa Margarita? Yeah, I had a buddy that went to Santa Margarita, though. That's what I thought. I thought he went to Santa Margarita. One of my friends that I played basketball with all the time growing up ended up going over to Santa Margarita to go play basketball there. Do I keep up with WWE currently? I've gotten back into it a bit to where I'm watching. I watch Raw most of the time. Like I'll put it on while I'm doing other stuff. So I'll watch that. I've been fairly impressed with the product overall compared to what it was. There was a point when I was just starting in college where that was actually my initial foray into sports writing, was writing pro wrestling, and I had a daily column that I wrote about pro wrestling. And I did that for a long time, for a number of years. But I guess it was 3 years, 4 years, something like that. But then I kind of fell out of it for a while, and now I'm starting to watch it again. Every now and then I'll just kind of throw it on, and I just started getting back into it like I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, something like somewhere around that, maybe a little bit before. It's the kind of thing I've kind of kept some tabs on, but I basically missed a big gap of like 10 years plus. Once we got into the mid 2000s, all the way up until here and there. So I do keep an eye. AEW, yeah, I check in on that every now and then. Am I going to WrestleMania in Vegas this year? No. I have been to WrestleMania before, though. I went to, was it WrestleMania 20 that was in LA? I went to that. I went to that at the Staples Center. That was sick. The Undertaker's entrance for that was awesome. I believe in Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. Let's go. What college did I go to? I went to Concordia University in Irvine, California. That's the college that I went to. Right by UCI. Yep. Right down the street. Right down the street from UCI. That's the school that I went to. Very small school. Very small school. But I enjoyed it. I liked that school a lot. Yeah, very, very nice area. Spoiler alert, John Cena lost his retirement match. I know. Everybody does. You're supposed to lose your retirement match. That's the that is the what do you call it? The precedent. It's the way you're supposed to handle things. All right. Yes, I know. Back to basketball. All right. So let's get into this. What record do you think the 2016 Cavs would have here? Like right now this season? I mean, with that version of LeBron? I mean, obviously you're having MVP talks for LeBron. You're getting the 2016 LeBron. What about the floor spacing? If you just teleported them to today, you mean? You got Kyrie in that group. Kevin Love. Yeah, they'd be good. I mean, they're going to be good no matter what, but that'd be a good team. All right, let's go to this. Should the Lakers consider Jared Allen? Maybe Hunter. Okay, so we're talking about the Cavs. I think the Cavs are going to wait until the summer if they're going to blow this team up. And I do think if we get to the summer, and by blow it up, I mean at least one of their four main pieces, Hunter, or Allen, actually five pieces, Allen, Hunter, Garland, Mitchell, Mobley. I think of four with them mostly because I have Hunter on the outside looking in, but salary-wise, let's add Hunter into the mix. I think when you start talking about getting rid of any of those guys, with the exception of maybe Hunter could be moved this year or at the trade deadline, but other than that, I think you're waiting on any of those other pieces until summertime. They are the only second apron team in the NBA. So that complicates things if you're trying to trade with them. So if you are the Cavs and right now you're trying to move Jared Allen, you can only mmove him by himself. Now, it's not as difficult as if, say, they were trying to move Evan Mobley or Donovan Mitchell, which they wouldn't do, but that's still $46.3 million, $0.4 million in salary that you can't attach anything else to. You have to move them by themselves. And so that gets a little bit more complicated when it comes to making a deal work. $20 million for Jared Allen, that's not that tough to find the salaries to match. That said, I don't think they do it at the trade deadline. I could be wrong, but I think if I'm the Cavs, just like I said with the Knicks, I'm looking at the East right now, and I'm saying this is wide open. Why not just continue to roll it forward? Why not give this thing a shot? Because last year, the Cavs were awesome during the regular season. They were great. They were a phenomenal offense. The way they moved the ball, the way they shot the ball. They were great last year. And then they got to the playoffs and totally sputtered. Now this year, they don't look good in the regular season, but maybe they can fall back on the idea that they ran out of gas. See, here's last year, the number 1 seed in the East, 64-18, a 78% win percentage, the second best win percentage in the NBA behind only the Thunder. That was the Cavs last year. So if I'm Cleveland, I'm keeping these guys right now. And I'm saying the first half of the season has not gone our way, but let's not do anything drastic, especially when it's going to be very difficult to do so anyway, because we're a second apron team. Let's roll this forward. Let's continue. Let's see this through, and then find out what happens in the playoffs. Maybe we peak late rather than peaking like middle of the season. Maybe we peak in the playoffs, and we're the team that makes a run this year. And if not, then you do drastic stuff this summer. Then you start saying, okay, this isn't working. A backcourt with Garland and Mitchell, not working. Not enough defense. Let's get somebody out of here. And by the way, Garland's hurt, been dealing with the toe thing and all that. Going to be difficult to move him right now anyway. So if I'm the Cavs, I'm staying the course right now. I could maybe try to add a piece, something to this roster, but I'm not doing anything to tear this thing down just yet. Hunter, maybe, if you're going to move somebody. But Hunter, if we're specifically talking for the Lakers, off-ball defense isn't great. You kind of run it. It's almost like he's a little bit elevated version of Rui Hachimura in that way, where off-ball, his defense is just not very good. He can get lost fairly often. So maybe the Cavs could move on from DeAndre Hunter. I think that's more likely than any of their big 4 guys. As far as grabbing Andrew Wiggins, I'm still falling back on if I'm taking on Andrew Wiggins and I'm the Lakers. And I think his skill set wise is a great fit. He'd be a great fit skill set wise. If I'm the Lakers, though, and I'm taking on $30 million in the 26-27 season, which is what Andrew Wiggins is due to be paid, he's a player option. I don't want to attach a first-round pick plus Rui to get that deal. And that's so far what the Heat have asked for, at least going back to the summer. That's what they wanted. So if the Heat want to come down off of that and say, you know what, getting $30 million off our books for next year is pretty damn valuable. Okay, we'll do it without a first. All right, let's have that conversation. If it's the first, though, and say Rui Hachimura to get a deal done there to get Andrew Wiggins, if he was 27, okay, all right, he fits Luka's timeline perfect. At 30, that's a little tougher. I like Andrew Wiggins. I think he'd be a good fit for the Lakers. I just think you have to get him at the right price. And I think what the Lakers feel is the right price and what the Heat feel at the right price, or is the right price. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Trevor, do you remember the show Gilligan's Island? I do remember the show Gilligan's Island. In fact, on a family trip to the Bahamas a year or so ago, we took a little tour and actually went by the island that they used in the opening shot to Gilligan's Island. So yes, I do remember that. Remember watching the reruns when I was a kid and everything, and it was cool to actually see the island that they used for that opening title screenshot. Any news that you missed? Yeah, I mean, the Jimmy Butler injury, I need to look and see here, but anybody who's just jumping in, I'll show you all again what happened. The Jimmy Butler injury, very concerning, obviously, and this could significantly change the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga's future, what they're going to do here at the trade deadline. Jimmy was in a lot of pain, does not look good. We'll see ultimately what the status is for him. But that's kind of the big news of the night. But then we also got the news that something came out earlier today was that the Grizzlies still are looking to move John Morant, even though Morant said he wanted to stay loyal and he wanted to stay. Sounds like the Grizz are still ready to move on from him. The other thing was Cat, that the Knicks are potentially looking to move on from Karl-Anthony Towns. So I'm double checking on X right now just to see if there was anything any kind of an update. I'm sure there's not. They're going to have to do imaging on Jimmy Butler. Oh, finally. Oh, here's another angle. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, I hadn't seen this angle. Oh. Don't worry, super bad. I'll get to the Blazers. I'll get there. I'll do that next. All right. Take a look. Watch the knee. It's the right knee. Right there. That's not right. That's not right. Oh, man. Oh, man. Whoa. That's awful. Feel terrible for Jimmy. I don't know. We got to wait for the imaging to confirm, but I would be very surprised if he's back at all this. I think that's I'm assuming that's the end of his season. All right. Yeah, that's terrible. I had not seen that angle yet. We had only seen the 3/4 above angle. I hadn't seen that one. Man. Whew. All right. Let's talk about the Blazers. All right, super bad. Blazers. What can they possibly do? Man, I love what the Blazers have been doing. I think I'll admit I was not a fan of the Drew Holiday trade. Still not. And I like Drew a lot. I just felt like it was too early. If Drew was even 32 or something, I get it. Could you flip Drew Holiday now? Maybe, but the 2 years remaining on his contract, they'll be tough with that. I do think, and especially with Dame coming back next year, I think you want to have this vision of getting the young guys ready to go to make a real run next year. And by real run, I mean it'd be a serious playoff team next year. And Drew can be part of that with Dame. And then you get Denny, obviously, has been, flying this season. He's been awesome. You'll still have Jeremy Grant. All right, you get Donovan Clingan up to speed. What about Shaedon Sharpe? Can you get those guys going? And then maybe you really got something there. So I don't think you have to move on from Drew Holiday, but maybe that you get some interest in him. I think that the big thing I'd like to see the Blazers do is I'd like to see them take Rob Williams, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say his name again, Matisse Thybulle. I'd like to see them take those two guys and do something with them. They've held on to those guys for a long time, and there's been some interest in them. Obviously, major injury concerns. Matisse Thybulle is injured right now. But most likely those guys are just going to drop off your roster this summer. So if you could turn those guys into something, that's ideal. That's what you're going to go look to do right now if you're Portland. Now, the Blazers, plenty of space to go do something, right? $45 million in first apron space. They'll probably wind up being a bit of a cap space team. So you've got a lot of flexibility this summer too to go make some type of move, to go do something. And Drew is your biggest salary. Dame, just $13.4 million. Denny, $13 million. You've got some opportunities to potentially be very, very aggressive too. I like the brand of defense that they play. I like the energy, the athleticism that they bring. They're missing a few pieces, but I think they're a team that can certainly add this summer. Try to add something if you can take those expiring contracts and turn that into something. If you can find somebody who's looking for a big, Rob Williams is a very good big, but I'm not worried so much about losing a Rob Williams or someone like that for the impact on this season. I'm focusing on how do I get my pieces ready for next season? How do I get these guys? And that can mean getting playoff experience or at the very least play-in experience this year, but it's about getting your guys so you're ready to hit the ground running next season when you get Dame back. And I'm not expecting Dame to be full, Dame time, Damian Lillard coming off the injury, but you want to give him a nice run here. You've got Drew, you've got Denny, you've got some real pieces here that you can work with. And on top of that, the other thing that I've been keeping an eye on with the Blazers, you've got some second round draft capital going out, but you also have, and I think this could matter, if you're the Blazers, you're keeping a very close eye on this. You've got some Milwaukee draft capital. You've got Milwaukee draft capital here. You get a 2028 Milwaukee pick. You could potentially get a 2029. And then you've got a 2030 potential swap. Obviously, there's a swap involved here as well. You've got a little bit of control of Milwaukee's future. And obviously, that's coming from the Dame trade, the initial Dame trade that sent him to Milwaukee. And the reason why I bring that up is because let's say the Bucks get into a situation this summer where Giannis tells the Bucks, hey, I will not ask for a trade, but I also don't think we can win a title here, so I am not going to sign the extension. I'm not going to sign an extension this summer. If he does that, that means Giannis is a free agent in 2027. He has a player option. If that's the path we ultimately go down, the Bucks would then have two options. Either risk it and keep Giannis on your roster all season and hope that Giannis re-signs in the summer as a free agent, or you trade him. Or you trade him and you don't allow him to walk away for nothing, which he could potentially do in 2027. So we're talking, I mean, the clock is ticking. He said he won't ask for a trade. I buy that he loves Milwaukee, but the clock's ticking. And I don't think he can win a title in Milwaukee. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he has to choose. Does he want to be a Milwaukee Buck or does he want to win a championship? I don't think he can do both things. So we got a year and a half till then, till Giannis could leave Milwaukee for nothing. So if that's the case, if I'm Milwaukee and I begrudgingly resign myself to needing to trade Giannis, if I'm going to go into a rebuild, I damn sure want to get my picks back. Kind of similar to the way the Nets went and got their picks back before they traded Mikal Bridges. If I'm the Bucks, I want to do that. And so if I'm Portland, I'm looking at that situation. I'm keeping a really close eye on it. And I'm saying, is there an opportunity for us to strike here? Is there an opportunity for us to get top value for these picks in order to give them back? Can we get something really good? And I don't know what that would be, but I'm keeping a very close eye on that situation because I believe if Milwaukee is demanding those picks back in order to move Giannis, you'll be able to extract a pretty penny for him. And if they don't get those picks back and they move Giannis, whoa, those could really become valuable. Now, it could be a situation where the Bucks say, well, you know what? If we don't get the picks back, then we won't trade Giannis. But even then, if you're the Blazers, you just say, well, you know what? We've got the 2028 pick anyway. So when Giannis walks in 2027, cool. We've got your pick. Tank away. I keep a very close eye on the value of that pick. That draft capital as well. The Blazers could have some very interesting possibilities coming up with those draft picks. All right, let's go here. Keon said, we don't know if Braun would stay or not next summer. You say LA should do Rui in a first for Wiggins. No, I say, oh yeah, shouldn't do Rui in a first for Wiggins. But if Braun says, do it or I'm leaving next summer, should LA do it or say, sorry, Braun? You'd have to then respond to LeBron and say, at what price? At what price? What are we talking about here? Okay, Braun, you really want Andrew Wiggins? Then we need you to take $20 million next year. We need to take $15 million next year. Oh, you want 50? Then no. No. That's the real conversation that you have to have. And that's where we talk about LeBron could retire. He could sign with another team. He could sign with the Lakers. The Lakers could offer LeBron a contract. They could not offer LeBron a contract. All those things could happen. But at the middle of all of that, if you get to the point where the Lakers say, we want LeBron back next year, and LeBron is playing much better, and LeBron says, I want to come back next year, then the big, crucial question is at what price? Because the Lakers have structured everything to be able to pivot in a major way next summer. This coming summer, I'm talking about in a few months. Everything. They could be 57-ish million in cap space, depending on, a lot of variables. What happens with Ayton, what happens with Smart, all that sort of stuff. But somewhere in that realm. So you have to have the conversation, what do you want? How much? Because they need the ability to go get athletic, defensive, switchy pieces. As difficult as that's going to be, even with spending power, they need the ability to go get those guys. They need the ability to go add to this team with Rui off the books, Gabe Vincent off the books, Maxey off the books. And it wouldn't shock me if Rui survives the trade deadline if they extend him. They can extend him all the way up to June 30th. Again, the question, though, becomes, and that's the conversation you have to have with Rui, at what price? Same conversation with LeBron. At what price? That becomes absolutely critical. So if LeBron says, get me Wiggins or I'm leaving next summer, and you say at what price, and LeBron says $50 million, you go, oh, well, we weren't going to sign you to that anyway. I firmly believe they won't do that unless, LeBron turns back the clock and they go win a championship this year or something like, something crazy happens. I don't see LeBron getting $50 million this year. That's not the market right now. Everyone wants LeBron to take a pay cut, but his retirement will generate millions, if not billions of dollars. Oh, yeah. Look, from a financial perspective, having LeBron on your team is massive revenue generator. There's no question. Financially, it's great. But you also have another issue, and that's Luka. And Luka, as much as he just signed an extension, but if you go re-sign LeBron for 50 plus million and tell Luka, sorry, we're not able to get the athletic wings that you need. Sorry, we're not able to get the lob threat that you need because we gave LeBron another 50 million. And Luka then starts making noise about, well, maybe he's not that happy. Then summer of 2027, the Lakers are staring down a situation where Luka is a year away from free agency. So if you spend the next season with LeBron taking up a bunch of your cap space and you don't get the pieces that you need and that season doesn't go well, you start talking to Luka in the summer of 2027 and he's not super happy. Uh-oh. Now you're a year away from him being able to leave you for nothing. So that's the other scenario they'd have to consider. All right. I didn't even realize it, but I've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. I still need to record the Lakers Nation podcast tomorrow, previewing Denver. But given the Jimmy Butler injury, the news on Cat, the kind of minor thing with Ja about the Grizzlies still looking to move on from him, I wanted to jump on here for a few minutes and get into all of that. I appreciate all of you. I know that the trade deadline season so far has not been all that active. We got the Trae Young trade, and there hasn't been a whole lot else. My hope is that as we get closer to the deadline, we're going to see more activity. Prices are going to start getting more realistic. We're going to get more news on it. But so far, there's no doubt it's been a little bit of a quiet trade deadline. And perhaps that's just what we get is a quiet trade deadline. But I'm certainly going to be covering it here, myself and Donnie, on the Basketball Bulletin. People think I do a podcast live at 5 a.m. No, definitely not. Definitely not. I record that the night before. But no, I appreciate all of you for being here tonight. Thank you, guys. This was very impromptu. I just thought, you know what? Let's go live and see how many people jump in and have a little fun talking hoops for a little bit. So thank you, everybody, for joining. This was a blast. You guys are awesome. If you haven't done it yet, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We're cruising right. We're just about there. We're right on the cusp. We didn't get there quite as quick as I thought. I was hoping by 2026, by the new year, we'd get there. But we're right on the cusp. We're right now 79 subscribers away from hitting 40,000. So if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button for me. Appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. There were so many of you here. Maybe we should do this more often. Switch YouTube channel time? What does that mean, Keon? I'm curious what you're referring to. So before I go, what do you mean by that? Do I have something set wrong? Maybe I do. Maybe I have something set wrong on here. You never know. Lakers Nation? What about it? What's it set for? Oh, because Keon's in South Korea? Oh, I try to go off of Pacific time for that. I go off of Pacific time for Lakers Nation. Okay, I got you. I thought maybe I had a setting in there that I didn't know was wrong. Yeah, no, I'm confused. All right. Anyway, thank you again, everybody. Appreciate all of you for joining. Till next time. See ya. And stay safe.